Good evening and welcome to the City of Farmers Branch Planning and Zoning Commission Study Session meeting. It is presently 6:30 p.m. Monday, January 12th, 2026. We'll begin this evening in study session with first thanking the commissioners for their service with a discussion of regular agenda items, item A1. Which takes us to item C1, consider approval of the December 8th, 2025 Planning and Zoning Commission meeting minutes and take appropriate action. Commissioners, any notes?
I do. I'm listed as both present and not present. I feel a bit like Schrodinger's cat. So I was not present.
Okay, I feel as though we can correct that for the record. Thank you for clarifying. All right. Any other omissions, errors, typos, items to discuss? All right. Then that will take us to item D1, a public hearing to consider the request for a detailed site plan approval for the installation of fencing, including a variance request to allow said fencing within the front yard on approximately 2.1 acre property located at 13710 Hutton Drive and located within PD 22 zoning district and take appropriate action. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Commissioners. Brian Campbell, planner with the Planning Department. So staff will actually be pulling this agenda item from tonight's agenda, and we'll be bringing it back for you at the next meeting on January 26th. So we had a conversation today with our city attorneys, and we were informed that City Council does not have the power to grant variances. That's solely lies with the Zoning Board of Adjustment. So after talking things through with Sam, we have determined that we can move forward as a detailed site plan with a zoning amendment to allow the fencing within the front yard. So that's what we'll be bringing before you at the next meeting. But if you have any questions now, happy to take them.
Any questions for staff that they can maybe address by next meeting? Yeah.
I was going to say, I actually had a whole bunch of questions on this one, but it would be better to wait until we review it officially in 2 weeks. I'm
Up to
cool with
you.
that. Yeah, that's fine. We can wait.
Okay.
Thanks.
All right. Thank you for that, Brian. And then that takes us to item D2. Conduct a public hearing, consider the request for a specific use permit for a restaurant on approximately 0.27 acre property located at 2243 Valwood Parkway and located within PD 22 zoning district and take appropriate action. Thank you, Brian.
Hi, it's me again. Thank you, Madam Chair and Commissioners. Once again, Brian Campbell, planner with the Planning Department. If you have any questions over this request now, we can go over those, or otherwise we can save them for the public hearing. It's a fairly straightforward request and specific use permit for a restaurant for the subject property.
I guess I'm not sure now or later, or this should be to the applicant, but I know the number of parking spaces meets the requirement. I think it's 6 or 9 or whatever the number was.
It's 5 that are required, and they have
And
8.
in the floor plan, there are 22 tables. So I'm trying to get a sense for how you do that many tables with that few, and there's nothing else around there except for so I'm just curious where that.
Yeah, I know. It's a bit of an interesting situation. So with the comprehensive zoning ordinance, parking requirements for restaurants are based off of the square footage of the building and not necessarily seating. So that's where that discrepancy is likely coming into
Well, I mean,
play.
I mean, if you see it as I mean, it could be a problem, right? I mean, how can you, I mean, it just doesn't seem like enough parking. Can you enforce? Can we push back or something? I mean, is it just up to them to decide that that's enough and there's really nothing we can do about it? It just seems like a mismatch to me.
Right, I would say it's pretty much going to be up to them.
Okay.
I can't say if it does help. They are proposing to repave the northern tract of the property immediately to the east, 2245 Valwood Parkway, in order to provide additional parking. So,
Is that in the first round or is that for the second round with the building?
my understanding, that's part of the scope of work with this round right now.
Okay, so there will be, that parking will be available?
Eventually. Yes, sir.
Not at the same time, not when it's open?
I would defer that to the applicant.
All right.
But it's my understanding that it will be.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely.
Further questions for staff?
What was in there before?
It was an office building. The tenant moved out.
There was a note in the, I had the same concern about parking, but it said a replat is required for future development to accommodate required parking. And so my question was, if it's required, why isn't that plat part of this? Because usually we see, you know, the proposed legislation, we see the plat completed. And in this one, it seems like we're getting part of it, but not the complete picture, because if that additional parking is required, it's not here on the plat.
Right, so I can clarify that. So, and as I'm going to discuss during my presentation, so currently, even though this is one contiguous property, they're currently platted as two separate properties. And so if the applicant should move forward with the development of the second restaurant, and in addition to amending the SUP ordinance, if it gets approved, they'll have to replat the property. And the reason they'll have to do that is so these parking spaces right here are currently within this existing easement. And so if the applicant were to just develop this building into a restaurant and just leave that alone, that would be fine. But if they want to come in and develop this second restaurant, then they're going to have to, like I said, replat the property. And part of that is we'll be moving these parking spaces down here so they're out of that easement.
You can see why I'm confused.
Yeah, I'm trying to orient myself to where the 2200 block is.
I was going to say, can I try to explain it? So the parking that they're proposing to be built is on the wrong plat for this particular case. So they're saying that this is 2243. They're going to build the parking on 2245, but because it's on 2245, it doesn't count towards the parking on 2243. They want to replat as a single lot so that then they have enough parking on a single plat to meet the requirements for the parking.
Right, because then they'll capture, yeah, all of this, and that up there that they're proposing to repave. That'll be one contiguous lot.
So why is it coming before us in such a piecemeal fashion instead of getting it all at once?
I would defer that to the applicant, but my understanding right now, they're just interested in developing the restaurant just for this building only right now.
Okay, thank you.
So this may help as well, is that the required parking for what they want to open up tomorrow, that lot meets the parking for the existing building. So in the future, when they come in and develop the property to the north, that northern building, that's when the replat's going to be triggered, because if it's not, then the parking that they're showing, which is, you can't see it, but this kind of dotted area here now comes into play. So that required parking is for this building and not the existing building. So in order for it to be on property, on subject site, they'll replat these two lots into one. And now all the parking will accommodate all three buildings. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Can I ask a follow-up to help? That's
Sure.
kind of in the same vein. The required parking as it is right now, which is, I think, what, 5 spaces for the proposed restaurant?
Yes,
That's what's currently on 2243.
correct.
What's currently on 2245?
So currently, it's an office building, which requires 9 spaces, and that side has 9 spaces.
Okay, and they share a single drive?
Correct.
Okay, so that, I mean, you could end up potentially with 14 spaces as opposed to 5.
Restaurant with 88 seats.
I mean, I hear you.
Further questions for staff?
I have a general question.
Sure.
Is restaurant currently allowed within industrial? And if so, why would it not be? Because in my mind, you know, people who work in warehouses, they need places to eat.
So currently, this property is zoned Plan Development District Number 22, so it's a bit of a unique situation. You're right. Normally, zoning district, PDs that have light industrial as the base zoning allow restaurants by right. It's PD 22 is a little bit unique in that it doesn't. Any type of restaurant requires approval of an SUP.
Any further questions? All right, thank you. And that, oh, go ahead.
Brings to mind another one.
Sure.
So the case before us this evening is allowing a restaurant at that specific location or for all of PD 22?
No, it's a specific use permit and only
Okay.
for this building.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, so with that, we will move to item D3. Conduct a public hearing and consider a request for a specific use permit for a gasoline service station and convenience store on approximately 1.48 acres located at 13600 Midway Road within Planned Development District Number 64 and take appropriate action. Thank you, Brett.
Thank you, Chair Raley, members of the Zoning Commission. Brett Mangum, lead planner with the Planning Department. This case is actually like the first case we looked at. The applicant is going to request to table this one as well. Let me see if I can pull it up. We are open to questions if anybody would like to discuss this, but the plan is for the applicant to request to table it until the next P&Z meeting on January 26th. There was an oversight with this particular case. There's actually two components to it. They only applied for one, which is the SUP for the gas station. They didn't realize that the alcohol overlay is a separate application. So they have submitted that to us, but we weren't able to get it on this agenda. So we're going to wait and bring the cases to run concurrently.
Thank you for that. Questions for
So
staff?
is this the same, is there any difference, this application from last April, when this first came through? I didn't notice any differences. Or,
It's essentially the same request. And I believe everybody was on the commission at that time. So this will be very familiar to you. They have passed their 6-month period. This was denied at council. So they've.
and that's my follow-on question. It's been past us and gone to the city council already. And have you gotten feedback from the city council that they want this to come back through? Or is this literally starting over, like nothing's happened? Because it went to us, and then there were some schools that sent letters in protest, and then one or both of those were pulled back and shifted, and it was not approved at city council, and then I'm just wondering about the back and forth. Like, do you know, have you got any feedback from city council that yes, we now like this, or is it just?
We haven't directly received any correspondence from city council or any questions at this point in time. I don't want to speculate as to why the applicant has decided to bring this back at this time, so I'll defer to them. They'll be here tonight to answer any questions if you do have any.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions for staff during study session?
And on this item, for the table, for both items, we would request that you call up a vote and announce the date for January 26th.
We can do that.
All right, thank you, Chair.
All right, well, with that takes us back to item A2, review the 2026 Planning and Zoning Commission meeting dates. Thank you for sending out the calendar.
Me again. Hi, once again, Brian Campbell, planner with the Planning Department. Don't have a formal presentation, but happy to answer any questions you might have over the calendar. I did put this together for you all, so.
I'm sorry, I did not see it if it was sent out to us. Is it the same schedule as last year?
It is,
Okay.
yeah,
And
I would say so.
just to clarify, you can find it in your packet, like on the Legistar. When you go there, it will be under item A2.
Okay, thank you.
Do we have an agenda for the city council bus tour?
Not at this time. We will be sending that out as soon as it's available.
Okay. And then this isn't really for planning and zoning, but do you know if the State of the City is going to be broadcast on the YouTube channel?
Say again, I'm sorry.
The State of the City meeting?
That's a good question. I can find out and let y'all know.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely.
All right. And with that, that brings us to item A3, discuss agenda items for future Planning and Zoning Commission consideration. Commissioners, any items of interest?
Do we have a use for data center in our use table?
Very good question. Do you want to put that on the agenda for next discussion after some review, or do you have a? About our use table, if we have a definition and a use for data centers.
That is one of many amendments that we'll be bringing forward to you with our kind of overhaul of the land use matrix and definitions. We've got several other uses that exist today, and of course, they change with market conditions. But at least to bring them up to current definitions and also to add some additional uses. One of them happens to be a data center.
Thank you. All right, if there are no other potential future agenda items, that brings us to a close of our study session at 6:46. We will meet back at 7 p.m. for our regular meeting. Thank you all. Good evening and welcome to the City of Farmers Branch Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. It is presently 7 p.m. Monday, January 12th, 2026. This evening, I'd first like to begin by thanking the commissioners for their service. And then up first on our agenda is item B, citizen comments. This agenda item provides an opportunity for citizens to address the Planning and Zoning Commission on any matter that is not posted on the agenda. Anyone wishing to address the commission should complete a citizen comments registration form and submit it to the chair prior to the start of the meeting. There is a 3-minute time limit for each citizen to speak, with a reasonable limitation on speakers on any one topic or item, with a maximum of 15 total minutes on the same topic item. Anyone wishing to speak shall be courteous and cordial. The Planning and Zoning Commission is not permitted to take action on any subject raised by a speaker during citizen comments. When called, please approach the podium and state your name and address prior to beginning your comment. And please direct all comments to the commission and not to the audience. This evening, we have no one signed up for citizen comments, so we will move into our regular agenda items, beginning with item C1, consider approval of the December 8th, 2025 Planning and Zoning Commission meeting minutes and take appropriate action. Commissioners?
I move to approve the minutes with the caveat of the correction that Marcus pointed out in the study session.
Thank you.
Second.
Any further discussion on the item? Seeing none, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor to approve the minutes with the correction? And any abstentions? Thank you. Now we'll move to our public hearings. Up first, item D1, conduct a public hearing, consider the request for a detailed site plan approval for the installation of fencing, including a variance request to allow said fencing within the front yard on an approximately 2.1 acre property located at 13710 Hutton Drive and located within PD 22 zoning district, and take appropriate action. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Commissioners. So staff will be pulling this agenda item this evening, and we will be bringing this back for you at your January 26th meeting as a detailed site plan with a zoning amendment to PD 22.
Thank you for that, Brian. So with that information, then we'll hold a vote for withdrawal of this item and moving it to the 26th of January meeting.
Yeah, are we tabling it? Is that, would that be official? So is this, are we tabling this? Is that the,
So officially, staff is withdrawing
so do we?
from this agenda.
So do we even have to vote on it?
I think we would still vote on the withdrawal to ensure that it's,
Then I recommend approving the withdrawal.
thank you.
I'll second.
And seconded. Any further discussion on the item? Seeing none, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor of withdrawing under the staff recommendation. All right, and with that, we will hear this on the 26th of January. Thank you again, Brian.
Of course.
Up next, item D2, conduct a public hearing and consider the request for a specific use permit for a restaurant on approximately 0.27 acre property located at 2243 Valwood Parkway and located within the Plan Development District Number 22 zoning district, and take appropriate action. Thanks again, Brian.
Thank you once again, Madam Chair, and thank you, Commissioners. It's a privilege and a pleasure to be presenting before you this evening. Once again, I'm Brian Campbell, planner with the Planning Department, now presenting to you on the specific use permit for 2243 Valwood Parkway. And so this is the subject property. It is zoned Plan Development District Number 22, and this is a specific use permit request for a restaurant. And so the applicant is Chris Sittler with Sittler Architecture. He is requesting approval of a specific use permit to develop the existing office building located at 2243 Valwood into a restaurant. As noted on your site plan, the scope of work does also include the construction of outdoor seating along the southern facade, as well as the redevelopment of the northern tract of the property immediately east, which is addressed as 2245 Valwood Parkway, for additional parking. As noted in your staff report, the applicant, and on the site plan, the applicant is proposing a second restaurant potentially for the northern tract of 2243 Valwood Parkway. And so as I noted in my staff report, should the applicant decide to move forward with this proposal, it will require an amendment to this SUP ordinance pending its approval by council, as well as a replat of this property in order to incorporate all of the parking that will be required. And I did want to make a minor correction to my staff report. So I noted in the staff report that the applicant was proposing to develop, repave the southern side of 2245 Valwood Parkway for additional parking. That should have read the north side. So just wanted to make that correction. And so while tonight's request is focused solely on developing this existing building at 2243 Valwood for the restaurant, since the applicant noted the potential second restaurant on their site plan, I felt it would be conducive to discuss both developments. So with regarding parking, currently the comprehensive zoning ordinance requires 1 space per 400 square feet of gross floor area for restaurants. So in this situation, a total of 5 parking spaces are required. Currently, there are 8 spaces at the 2243 Valwood site. Should the applicant move forward with developing the second restaurant, between the 2 restaurants and the existing office building at 2245 Valwood, which will remain, a total of 22 parking spaces will be required. And so if the applicant does propose to redevelop the property as proposed, they will be providing a total of 28 parking spaces. So in both situations, they are exceeding that requirement. And then with regards to landscaping, the PD 22 does require any subject property to dedicate at least 5% of the property not being used for the driveway or something similar as landscape open space. And so in this situation, we have 6.4% of this property being landscape open space. And should the applicant move forward with developing that second restaurant, they are proposing additional landscaping, which will bring that total to 11%. And so in either scenario, they are exceeding that requirement. And then with regards to street trees, currently PD 22 does require one street tree per 30 feet of lineal street frontage, which in this situation requires the planting of at least 5 street trees. We do have 5 such trees currently on site, and the applicant does propose to maintain these. And so the existing building at 2243 Valwood will be developed on the inside and the outside per the included elevations and the floor plan. The applicant is proposing one sign along the southern facade, as well as the installation of a grease trap to the rear of the building. Turning to the recommendations of the Farmers Branch 2045 plan. So the Farmers Branch 2045 plan does designate the subject property in the surrounding area as industrial. With this land use designation, the plan recommends a series of single-use industrial uses focused on business, employment, and industry. And so with that, those recommended land uses are office, research, industrial, warehousing, and distribution. And so given that the applicant's proposal is not consistent with the Farmers Branch 2045 plan, however, their proposal does have the potential to bring about additional economic vitality to this area through dollars spent at the restaurant. And so on December 30th, staff did mail 17 notification letters to all affected property owners within 300 feet of the subject property, as we now require, in addition to mailing letters to both the Carrollton Farmers Branch and Dallas Independent School Districts. And a zoning notification sign was placed on the property the same day. As of this evening, we have not received any correspondence on this request. And so that concludes my presentation. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to take those. And we do have the applicant here with us as well, should you have any questions for them. Otherwise, I thank you for your time this evening. Thank you all very much.
Thank you. So any questions for staff? All right, and any questions for the applicant? We have any questions? Yeah, okay, great. So if the applicant wouldn't mind to step forward and just state your name and address for the record, please.
Good evening. My name is Chris Sittler. I'm an architect. I live in Arlington at 3505 Saltillo Lane, And once again, it is a privilege and an honor to be able to speak here before you tonight. I'd just like to give a brief explanation of what and why we're doing this project. Mr. Koshi is my client. He came to me about 6 months ago. He'd purchased the property a year earlier. There's 2 small buildings on the site. They're office spaces currently, and they sat on the market after he purchased them for a year, and he couldn't rent out either building. So he wants to open his own restaurant, and he came to me with the idea, could I possibly put a restaurant in one of the buildings? The current uses allowed our office, but it even says that a cafeteria is an allowed use in an office, and the concept is to do a counter-style barbecue. It's kind of funny, Mr. Roy's from Ishia, I think it's from India. I think it's a fantastic idea. He wants to do a Texas-style barbecue restaurant that he personally owns and runs himself. And it's similar to a cafeteria, technically a restaurant, but we're adding parking, we're adding public seating out front, which I think will actually help the area. And it should be a nice project, and I think it's a great idea.
Thank you for that. Staff, sorry, commissioners, any questions for our applicant?
Yeah, so just to get clarification on the parking. So officially for that building that you're developing, there are 8 spaces. And then is it a hospice? Is there anything is that building that adjacent is currently empty?
Currently, because he wasn't able to lease it, he
Right.
actually uses it as his personal office.
Okay.
He
But so-
has,
Yeah,
it's available, but he's currently using it for his own office. An interesting thing, I've done retail development for quite a while. Most cities and even most developers increase parking for restaurants over an office. Restaurants get busy and they need, your code actually tells us we need less parking spaces to put a restaurant there, which I find is interesting. But either way, to run a successful restaurant, you need to have plenty of spaces when you get busy. So the idea is we're developing, we're adding additional parking so we don't get traffic issues and concerns and people can get in there. And the future spot, it's not like we have anything planned back there. You can't really put a successful restaurant in the back hidden behind the other buildings, but we might as well show our long-term plans for the site, and if it's possible to do something with that back spot at the times, we went ahead and wanted to include it in the proposal and add whatever we needed to the site now to take care of that possibility.
so the parking that you're talking about building, is that in the green space on the northeast?
It's behind the buildings.
And that's happening at the same time, so that will be available when you open the restaurant?
Correct.
For
The
parking.
idea is that if whoever's in the office building will park behind the office building
Yeah.
so that the front parking, because that's where people coming to the restaurant are going
Right.
to park anyway.
Yeah.
So if you have the office people park in the back, then that keeps the front open for parking. And it also, once again, I think restaurants with outdoor seating, especially in front, is kind of a nice neighborhood amenity, puts people on the street, and that was one of the things we're doing. And I think having more parking in the back and less out front helps that concept.
Yeah, so it's good. So because looking at the floor plan, there are 22 tables, and there are only 8 spots like in front of the building. So that was just a concern about as you say,
Sure.
where
No,
where
yeah.
everybody's going to park.
We're technically, we're providing double the required parking. So I get what you're saying,
Yeah.
but we're way over what's required. And we put on there as much as we reasonably could. They won't put 22 tables in that restaurant. It was just kind of showing the maximum you could do.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you.
You bet.
Further questions for our applicant? All right, thank you so
Thank you.
much for your time. So with that, it is a public hearing. I don't believe we have anyone indicating to speak during the public hearing, and
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
thank you for that.
Second?
Any further discussion on the item to close the public hearing? Seeing none, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor to close the public hearing? All right, with the public hearing closed, we'll now hear action on the item.
I'll make a motion to approve as presented.
Thank you. A recommendation for approval?
I'll second.
And a second. And any further discussion on the item? All right, seeing none, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor to recommend approval as presented? All right. And this will go to City Council
February 17th.
February 17th. Thank you, Brian.
You're welcome.
All right, and with that, we will move to item D3, to conduct a public hearing and consider the request for a specific use permit for a gasoline service station and convenience store on approximately 1.48 acres located at 13601 Midway Road within Planned Development District Number 64, and take appropriate action. Thank you, Brett.
All right, thank you, Chair Rayleigh. Brett Mangum, lead planner with the Planning Department here at Farmers Branch. All right, and this is an item 25 SU-10. This item is going to be requested to be tabled per the applicant's request. We won't be opening the public hearing tonight if that motion does approve, so all we need is just a vote to table this and then announce the date. Basically, just to recap what we talked about in study session, there are two components to this application. One of the applications was not filed in tandem with this one, so when we were looking over the materials, we realized there was a missing application, which was for the alcohol overlay. So that has been submitted, but we weren't able to get it on tonight's agenda. So we're holding this case so that the two cases can combine and move in tandem.
Thank you for that explanation. All right, commissioners, so we have a applicant request to table for the 26th of January meeting.
And we do have the applicant here just in case there are any questions.
Okay,
I move to table the agenda item for 2 weeks.
okay,
Second.
seconded. And any further discussion on the item? Seeing none, we'll move to a vote. All those who vote to approve tabling until the 26th of January meeting. All right, so with that, we will hear this on the 26th of January. Thank you again, Brett.
Thank you all.
All right, and with that, we will adjourn for the evening. It is presently 7:17 p.m. Thank you all.